What's going on, everyone? So, Klay Thompson, kind of ironic. He had a chance to be a Los Angeles Laker, chose not to go to the Lakers, and instead go to the Dallas Mavericks to go play with Luka Doncic. And how things plan out, how things just tend to work out. Now, the Los Angeles Lakers have Luka Doncic. Klay Thompson could have been a Laker and been on a team with the Lakers with LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Luka Doncic, and probably look a lot better than he has been, because he has been terrible this season. And I think a lot of it has to do, obviously, with just age decline, injuries, things like that. But I also think it has to do with, Dallas has no playmakers, right? And Klay Thompson is a guy that, he can self-create a little bit, but he's more best suited with a guy like Luka on the basketball court where he's able to create for you and then drive and kick out or whatever, and then Klay Thompson's just knocking down the open three. I do think Klay Thompson is a lot better than what he's been this season for Dallas. Is he prime Klay Thompson? No. But is he a guy that could still, on any given night go off and give you 15? Is he a guy that could be crucial in a playoff series because of his experience, give you some points? Sure, right? Is he a guy that can knock down a handful of threes a game consistently? I do think in the right circumstances, alongside or on a team like the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves, I do believe he could do that for you. Defensively, he's not quite where he was. Prime, he's nowhere near, but defensively, even post-injury, he still was pretty good defensively, had some moments, but he's kind of just fallen away to the wayside. But again, how much of that is he has to work harder and stuff like that? If he could just kind of focus in on being that 3-and-D kind of wing guard, right? Could he kind of get back to being a version of Klay Thompson, right? I think Klay Thompson still has a version of him in there that could be a difference maker on the right team in the right situation, right? But it's not Dallas. Clearly isn't Dallas. And there's a lot of talks about Dallas wanting to trade Klay Thompson, that they're going to explore and look to get off of Klay Thompson. He still has 2 years left on his deal at about 17 million. So he makes 16.6 million this year and then 17.4 next year. Still has 2 years on his deal. Dallas probably wants to get off his salary, kind of clear that salary if possible. And the Lakers have been linked to a potential Klay Thompson trade for several reasons. One, because Lakers could use some three-point shooting. Klay Thompson can provide that. Two, Lakers and Klay have always been linked to each other because of Klay's dad. Three, right? The Lakers have expiring contracts. So if Dallas wanted to get off of Klay's contract, wanted to get off of Klay's money, the Lakers could actually do it and do it pretty easily. Here's my thing about that, though, right? I'm not against Klay Thompson. I wouldn't hate Klay Thompson coming to the Lakers, but I just think Lakers have bigger priorities, particularly athleticism and 3-and-D defense out on the perimeter, three-point shooting as well as defense, right? If it's like a Klay Thompson at 16, almost 17 million that the Lakers would have to send out, I'd rather go and target, you could get multiple guys, right? You could get, for the price of Klay Thompson, you could probably get a Haywood Highsmith and a Matisse Thybulle, right? Because one guy's making $8 million, the other guy's making $11.5 million. So call it $20 million. So basically for $4 million more, which would have to be two separate trades anyway, you could get both of those guys. And I think those guys would have potentially a bigger overall impact than Klay. Now, if you could use Klay to get other things, right? If you could use Klay, how badly do you want to get off of Klay Thompson and his money, right? If you could use Klay Thompson as a way to get a Max Christie back or, a Daniel Gafford, right? Just give you a kind of an upgrade in the backup center position, give you some athleticism defense on the interior, maybe even play him and a DeAndre Ayton at times because Ayton's ability to knock down the mid-range, stuff like that. Or again, get a Max Christie. If you could do a more expanded trade and Klay Thompson is included in that deal, let's say Dallas they continue to be terrible, right? And you could and they want to get off of Klay, but they don't want to take back bad salaries. Could you use Klay and his contract as a way to kind of convince them to give you back a Max Christie and then go and trade for a Daniel Gafford and really expand the trade and give up guys like Rui and, Max Christie or Maxi Kleba and Dalton Connect, something like that, to where you're getting shooting, right? And yes, this season, obviously, Klay, you're not looking for him to play as big of a role as he is with Dallas. Not just that, but I think he would elevate and be better on a team like the Lakers because they actually have playmaking and they have guys that could set him up and he could play off ball, and just LeBron and Luka could just, and Austin Reeves could just feed him all game. The quality of looks that he would get would be much better, be a lot closer, if not as good, if not better than, when he was on the Golden State Warriors. I mean, he still was inconsistent on the Golden State Warriors, but again, not looking for him to be a starter or anything like that. You're looking for him to be a guy off the bench, kind of play that Dalton Connect role for you, right? You might even be able to get off of Dalton Connect because now you have a Klay Thompson, right? And if you could also get back a Max Christie, now gives you that 3-and-D kind of versatility, who's young, who, Lakers, look, they got Luka Doncic, but he was kind of like the one guy I wanted. I would have rather given up more picks and assets, stuff like that, to be able to keep Max Christie. But nonetheless, you ended up losing Max Christie. If you could get Christie back and then say like a Daniel Gafford and really expand this trade to where you're solving your perimeter issue, you're solving your youth and athleticism, get you a guy that long-term can slot in. Would Max Christie want to come back and buy in, right? Like, that's a question. But, look, I think Max Christie probably understands, right? Like, dude, you were traded for Luka, right? Like, like the Dalton Connect situation. One, that was very different. He got traded and then immediately came back. He didn't have time in between. And two, it's like, he's traded for Mark Williams, who, is backing up in Phoenix, right? Like, at least like your argument to Max Christie is like, dude, we had to trade. We got Luka Doncic. And guess what? We traded back for you because that's how much we like you. That's how much we wanted you to be here. And now you get to be a piece and a cornerstone on this team alongside Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. And you kind of could solve your long-term 3-and-D wing position. Also get another center, a backup center, and give you some insurance in case a team overpays Ayton or Ayton ends up leaving or something like that. Or if at some point it just doesn't work out, right? Kind of have that insurance in that regard, plus Luka and Gafford's connection, right? And then, bring in Klay Thompson. If you could do something like that, I would be willing to entertain that. And just kind of like, hey, you kind of get to reshuffle next season, right? Because this season's probably cooked for you. So guess what? You get off of Daniel Gafford's long-term money that you just committed to him. You get off Max Christie's money, and you get off of Klay Thompson's money. You still have key pieces and components and defensive pieces and all that stuff. But now you clear, $40 million in cap space or whatever next season to where you can make some moves and kind of retool some things and kind of hopefully next season get back to being the team that you want to be, right? That might be enough to incentivize, the Dallas Mavericks and Nico Harris and like, I mean, look, you have a relationship and a bond. I've seen people be like, oh, Dallas would never trade with the Lakers again. Of course they would, right? Like, it's just like the people always say like, oh, Lakers would, oh, that team wouldn't trade with the Lakers. That team wouldn't trade. Like, and they did, right? Like, the Nets and Lakers try to trade. That falls through. Oh, Nets are just never going to do business with the Lakers. And then the Nets, because Sean Marks and Rob Pelinka have a good relationship, have made multiple trades since then. Danny Ainge, he's a Laker hater. He's never going to trade. Lakers have done more trades with Danny Ainge the last few years than any team, than any GM in the league, right? Like, again, teams will always go back to the teams that they're familiar with and know. And, and the Lakers have one of the few things. Not all teams have the amount of expiring contracts to go and do that, right? And here's the other thing. Yes, Klay, it would suck if he doesn't work out. If he does work out, great. Then again, you're just raise the ceiling even higher. And not just that, I mean, Klay Thompson, again, I think he would be better, right, on the Lakers. Can't be much worse than Dalton Connect's been. Right now, you can argue he's 16, he'll be $17 million next year, but that's a $17 million expiring contract next season. So now the Lakers have that expiring contract in the offseason, as well as multiple firsts. I wouldn't give up any firsts in the deal, right? Because you're bailing out Dallas, right? If you want like a pick swap or something like that, then sure, but I'm not giving up any firsts in the deal, right? Like if you're getting Max Christie and Daniel Gafford, if they wanted a first, it'd be hard to say no to that, but I would push very hard. Let me rephrase that. I would push really hard not to give up a first, because I'd be like, look, dude, like we're clearing your books for you essentially, right? Like we're helping you retool and revamp your roster next season because it's clearly not working, right? Like, so, we're taking on Klay Thompson and his long-term money. We're taking on, Daniel Gafford and his long-term money. We're taking on, now Derek Lively and Anthony Davis gotta be your guy. And Dallas has been best with Anthony Davis at the center position again. So it's like now AD, you can slot him more at the center position. Derek Lively, you can have him start and then kind of go back and forth, right? Like it just, I would try very hard not to give up a first. But worst case scenario, Klay Thompson becomes an expiring contract next season. You'd still have 2 tradable firsts in the offseason. So you have Klay Thompson and his expiring money. You'd have 2 first-round picks plus a bunch of other players and assets and things like that. Now you have guys like Max Christie, Adu Thero, Daniel Gafford, right? Jake LaRavia. You got a bunch of just guys that are young. They want defense. Trade Jared Vanderbilt. Right? Like, I like Jared Vanderbilt, especially his hustle and his defense and his rebounding and stuff like that. I mean, the guy almost had 20 rebounds. He had like 18 rebounds. But if you could get Max Christie back and a Daniel Gafford, I'd rather have that. Because if you have Max Christie, I'm playing Max Christie probably more minutes over a Jared Vanderbilt. And then also, again, maybe you can save like an expiring or something like that to go make another move. Maybe go, like I mentioned, a Matisse Thybulle or something like that. And now you got that kind of 3-and-D wing. I wouldn't trade for Klay Thompson straight up. I wouldn't. Like, if it's just like, hey, just match, like, give us whatever it would be. It'd be, a Gabe Vincent and a Dalton Connect for Klay Thompson. I don't even think the money matches up, but you get my point, right? Like, it's something like that, right? I wouldn't do it if I'm the Lakers. I wouldn't, right? Lakers would probably have to get more. Right, just because again, Dallas is in a tough cap situation. Lakers are in a tough cap situation. You probably need a third team regardless. So you'd probably have to do something where it's like Maxi Kleber and or like I said, maybe a Jared Vanderbilt. Maybe you're doing Jared Vanderbilt and Dalton Connect is going to a third team, and then Gabe Vincent's going because they could use guards, so they send Gabe Vincent to Dallas. Now they got 2 kind of defensive players that they want, a veteran guy, or maybe you're doing something like that. But if it's just for Klay, if it's just like, hey, let's just go trade for Klay, no, I think the Lakers should personally stay away from Klay Thompson. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, pass question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.